for a very special U.S. women's national team gold medal match recap against Brazil. We got gold, ladies. We got gold.
Let's go.
Incredible stuff. We are recapping everything that went down with the U.S. women's national team in their 1-0 win in the gold medal match over Brazil alongside Darian Jenkins and Sandra Herrera. I'm Lisa Carlin. We all started this episode with a little bit of a dance party because the USA got gold. Darian, why are you dancing?
Well, yeah, you just said it. The U.S. got gold.
I don't know. What'd you like about it?
We got gold. I don't know what else to say about it. We got gold. We had a good win. Alyssa Nair for president. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm hyped we got gold. And shout out to Emma Hayes because damn did she overcome a lot. And imagine what she's going to do. I'm thinking ahead already. Imagine what she's going to do with this team in 2 years. What the next World Cup is going to look like. This team is already scary, and I cannot wait for the future of this squad.
It's so good. I love that, Darian. The lady was too stunned to speak. It's like we're just like all marinating in it a little bit. And I'm so thrilled for these players, for that attacking trio, for Alyssa Nair, the veteran coming into action. And Emma Hayes, this was someone who came in on the job 3 months ago and did a lot of work to try to maybe temper some expectations or at least put them in perspective. I mean, I think back to May and chatting with her in New York. And one of the things that stuck with me was how she said, we got work to do. And that could have been interpreted a number of ways. And that maybe the Olympics are going to be a measuring stick of that. So gold is always going to be the goal, the main goal, but who knows how they'll get there. And they got there today. Incredible stuff. Congrats.
The expectations for this U.S. side is always to be at the top. Number one, winning gold, winning World Cups. However, heading into this Olympics was such a short runway for Emma Hayes as the new head coach and a new group of players learning rhythm and building chemistry together. The expectations seemed a bit more far-reached than a lot of people expected. And it was like, okay, that's what we want, but how realistic are those expectations? Hopefully a medal, hopefully playing in the gold medal match, but ultimately for the U.S. to pick up their 5th Olympic gold in 2024 in Paris, thanks to an incredible Mallory Swanson goal that came throughout this match in the second half, ultimately in the 57th minute. But U.S. pick up their first gold medal since 2012, and we are recapping all of it. Let's dive through the starting lineups first. We're going to start with Brazil because Autor Elias had really showcased a lot of changes before every single match, 5-6 changes in their personnel and lineup. Only 2 changes from the semifinal, with Priscila coming in and, Adriana coming in and Duda Sampaio coming in, with Priscilla and Angelina going out. But in goal, it was Lorena in the back, Tarciane, Lauren, Ferreira, Yasmin, Duda, Yaya, and Adriana, Ludmila, Jennifer, and Portillo up top. So really just 2 changes for Brazil. And then for the U.S. women's national team, 1 change coming in the midfield for Emma Hayes. Rose Lavelle on the bench, getting the start on the bench, with Corbin Albert slotting into that midfield, which pushes Lindsay Horan a little bit higher and Sam Coffey a little deeper. Otherwise, the same 10 that we had seen previously. Alyssa Nair in goal, Crystal Dunn, Tierna Davidson, Naomi Girma, and Emily Fox in the back line. Sam Coffey, Corbin Albert, and Lindsay Horan in the midfield, with Mallory Swanson, Sophia Smith, and Trinity Rodman up top. Some notes on this starting lineup: Mallory Swanson making her 100th cap in this gold medal match. And for Sophia Smith, happy birthday. You get a gold medal. You turn 24. You get the start. But looking at these lineups, Darian, with the change, Rose Lavelle out, Corbin Albert in, what was your initial reaction to that?
I was a little bit worried. We've talked at length about the qualities Lavelle brings to a game. She can change a game even with just 10 minutes of playing time, how creative she is, exploiting pockets, the texture on passes, and her vision she's able to have is different than any other quality of a midfielder that the US has. She is in a league of her own. So I thought that that was a really big loss not having her. And I think we saw it, especially in the first half. I know we're going to go in depth over it, but Albert's just a player that doesn't have that same attacking quality. She's very solid defensively. She's a great 8. She has that ball playing ability, but just technically, creatively, they're completely different players. So I thought that was a big change. I was happy to see Davidson in, knowing, hey, we're going to get more than a half, hopefully, and we did. But I liked this starting lineup. I figured she wasn't going to tinker too much just based on the rest of the tournament and what she said about wanting them to suffer with the fatigue and just the style that this tournament is. And they came out on top, and she really proved to us why she wanted them to suffer, because they ultimately get that dub. They get the gold. We're all dancing. We're smiling. It worked out.
This was the youngest starting 11 for the U.S. women's national team in a gold medal game since 1996. And a little bit of that having to do with the Lavelle-Albert swap. Sandra, with this starting 11 for the U.S., what notes did you notice immediately?
I was like everyone else, with Albert in the middle. And I think for the coaching staff, those are calls they have to make. I mean, that was part of why they brought in Emma Hayes. What type of decisions needed to be made, and will the coach make them when they need to be made? We saw out of the trainings, Roosevelt rocking the leg sleeve, and yes, you can have fun with it on social media, but maybe it was an indicator of some of the minutes that she's carried throughout the tournament, and whether or not that was a game time decision to kind of, keep her out because of the load that she has been playing throughout the tournament. So I'm not going to lie, to see the rotation, I wasn't maybe as startled or questioning as much as maybe some others, because I thought back to the Gold Cup. I've been feeling all of the Gold Cup vibes, all the Vamos vibes for this final. And I was like, yeah, this is a little bit of a throwback for me, and I love a good throwback. Albert and Coffee with a lot of good chemistry coming out of that, but this is also not like 6 months ago. So once the play actually got rolling, there were some nerves, I think, that were pretty evident in such a high stakes game. And they got bypassed, often. Let's just be real. Primarily in that first half. So I think I wasn't as maybe like too, maybe not as optimistic as some others, but not as pessimistic. I was just kind of right. I was neutral in the middle, where I was just like, well, this makes sense. They've sort of been here before. Let's see how it plays out. And then when we started to see it play out, I think we were all kind of like, hold on, what's going on here?
Sandra, thank goodness for your level head. I was like freaking out a little bit. I was like, Brazil is going to get goals. They're going to score.
They almost did.
Considering how this 90 minutes unfolded. But you did touch back on the W Gold Cup back in March, and that was a Brazil-USA final. The 5th meeting between USA and Brazil in a final was today, and US has won all of those by a 1-goal margin. This time it comes by way of Mallory Swanson. But when you look at Brazil's starting lineup, no Marta in that 11 that took the field first. She was available after serving her 2-match suspension in the previous 2 games for Brazil. And Darian, we predicted Marta was going to start, but she didn't. We did ultimately see her, but what do you think is the process and decision-making there from Artur Elias?
Possibly to not mess up chemistry. I mean, this team corralled around not having Marta on the pitch and dug deep within themselves to come back, fight, play 2 matches without her, when really her story was the motivation of this tournament for this Brazilian team. So I think not wanting to mess that up, how much this team and chemistry they built, how hard they fought together to get to the final. I understand not wanting to change that, taking players out that showed up for those two and a half matches that she wasn't there, and did put the team on their back. I still think I would have loved to see Marta come in the game sooner. I thought, especially coming directly from the first half, why not come out swinging again? You had all of the momentum in the first half. I think that would have been the perfect time to then, hey, let's give you another wall to go through. Let's give you another problem in the attack, because hardly anybody can defend Marta. She is the cheekiest player to ever play the game on the women's side. So I wish I would have seen her sooner. I think it could have affected the game for Brazil, but I understand not wanting to shift chemistry and not, I don't want to use the word reward players, but
But they
take
had
away from the players that fought hard to get
and
to the final.
succeeded in the previous 2 matches without Marta finding the back
Yeah.
of the net. But there's an element of emotional depth there, Sandra, because this was Marta's 3rd Olympic gold medal match. She had won silver previously, falling to the US, and it almost redemption for her in her last international competitive match that we could see with Brazil. It almost feels like you should have given her more time because of the emotional depth of this.
I mean, maybe. I think those are all valid points, and I think that was the biggest burning question going into this match for Brazil. Will they or will they not start Marta? And I got to tip my hat to the coaching staff, because I think at that point, at that stage at the Olympics, you maybe want to ride the momentum of what has been building through the knockout rounds, and they got through those elimination stages without Marta. And maybe there's a counter argument that they did a little bit of it for her and wanted to make sure that they were still playing for a medal in some capacity, so that she could return to the pitch, and maybe bringing her on to start would maybe disrupt the game plan on the other side of the ball for USA. But I gotta say, when I saw their starting lineup, I respected it. I said, okay, this makes sense. You're gonna ride the hot roster that's been getting you through these moments. But I was less on Martha and more maybe Angelina. I thought Angelina was gonna get a start in this game, and it
Yeah,
didn't
in your
happen.
best combined 11.
Yeah, and it just didn't happen. And maybe it's because of her efforts against Spain. She was just everywhere. And maybe you're taking into consideration player match, minutes and the load that they've been carrying into the final. Maybe you want to have a player like that available off of the bench to help kind of shake things up if they need to do that. And it kind of looks like that was the game plan a little bit for Brazil. So it wasn't for lack of effort, because that was definitely a first half that the USA had to sustain some things from Brazil. I think the expected goal stat was completely opposite for Brazil and USA, kind of coming out of that first half. Too close for comfort, maybe at sometimes.
Sandra, I like your shout for Angelina and deserving of that start. Audrey dropping stats in our chat right now that Angelina came on in the 61st minute, and she created 2
Love it.
chances already for Brazil once she came on, and that's only playing 30 minutes of the match. Interesting, but Brazil did have chances. Yasmin down the flank, Adriana on the flanks as well. Mila, I think, had a really impressive game. We're going to dive into it. What all went down, especially in the first 45 minutes, because the U.S. went into halftime 0-0.